Good afternoon. My name is Viktor Korenной. I'm from Energy Cluster, and actually my goal today is not to find the link between agricultural technologies and energy technologies, but to show you an overall understanding, an overall concept of what is going on in the energy cluster and in the energy industry as a whole. So, I hope you find it interesting. At first, I would like to ask you what's going on and what the world will be in 15, 20 years, what the city will look like, what technologies will be useful and will be common. For example, when you wake up and you see that your smartphone is already charged, that your car is waiting for you, already turned on and ready to take you to your job without any assistance. For example, if you here's the example of how it could look like and how it could work. Also, your cell phone may be charged in just 15 minutes or under it. And also, the whole city will be supplied by renewables, so there will be no need in coal or whatsoever. So it might look like a not so near future, but really, nowadays companies are developing very fast and we are getting closer and the gap is decreasing dramatically. So I would like to just take a quick look of what trends are now important for me and for the energy as a whole. So I won't go very deep because we don't have a lot of time, but if you want, I will ask you questions later. The first thing I would like to mention is 3D printing. Of course, it's not a trend itself because it is a part of a big concept, smart manufacturing or industry 4.0, call it what you like. But for us, for energy efficiency, it's very important because the time for prototyping decreases dramatically. For example, for pipelines, for oil pipelines, some details can be prototyped in just 12 hours instead of 12 weeks, as it was years ago. And also, there are a lot of different applications. For example, you can print a wind turbine, as here on the slide. You can print turbine, gas station, or the house, whatever you want. Of course, now it's not possible to build the whole turbine, for example, but some parts of it is already now made. The next trend is renewables. As I mentioned in the beginning, the important thing about renewables now is that really in the previous year there were built more renewable power plants than traditional coal power plants. So the trend is clear, world goes green, and I think it's hard to reject it now, because there are of course a lot of issues connected with the price of electricity, with the life cycle of solar panels, for example. But really, I think in 5 to 10 years, and even now, I can say that in Germany there was a case when one day from renewable energy there was made more electricity than from traditional sources. So the price of electricity was actually negative, because it was proficit of electricity. There was no need in such a big amount of electricity, and it was due to renewables. Another thing is, which is very important, is smart grid, because the problem of renewables is that you can't save this energy. You need to waste it right when it's produced. So you can pass it through. For example, you can produce it in one place and consume it in another, but you can't save it for some time. So you need either to develop some modern systems of saving the energy, storing the energy, or you need to build some really complicated IT systems where you can integrate traditional power plants, renewables, electric vehicles, consumers, and so on. And it's very important now that these systems are developing. And for example, in US, where there are 3 big centers of smart grids, the length of power line is already 450,000 kilometers, which is 8 times bigger than the equator of the Earth. So you can imagine how it would be in 5 to 10 years. Another very important trend is electric vehicles. It's not actually a car by itself. It's a part of smart grid. And it's very important because it can store the electricity as well as take you from one place to another. So these functions are both important. And for example, for Germany, it's a very important point because they already have a lot of renewables, a lot of different clean, green systems. But the problem of traditional cars still exists. So they decided to subsidize this area and gave 1 billion. They didn't actually give, but they made a decision to give 1 billion euro to support and to develop these systems of electric cars. And no doubt they will do it. So by some forecasts, already at 2040, there will be 35% of new sales with electric cars. And for example, this year, their sales, I think, increased in 70% comparison to the last year. Sorry. So these are the things that are going on now in the world and in Russia, for example. But what are we doing here in Skолково? What is the link between our startups and the global trends? I want to as well show you only overall give you only overall understanding, show some brief examples because we don't have time to go deeper. But if you would like, I can tell you more. We have 3 basic directions, which are oil and gas, energy development, and production. I work in energy development segment. So we have basically renewables, traditional energy, grids, and energy storage, 4 main parts. And altogether, we have more than 3,050 companies. I want to give you some examples. So, for example, energy storage. I want to show you that these decisions can be simple and even don't look like some innovations or something radically new, but can work and can open new markets and new fields. For example, this one and Sol. These 2 technologies are similar. They both do lithium-ion batteries, but the applications are completely different. This one, they found out that in this niche market, in this cargo loaders, in shopping malls or whatever, their batteries are very important. They can last twice longer than traditional batteries, so you don't need to charge it often. So you can only charge it once in a day, and it really opened new market for them. So they sell not only in Russia but in US. You may think that it's almost impossible to find a new market in US when you don't have it now in Russia, but it's reality. You can do it. And another example is AIT company. The technology is similar, but their goal is completely different. They tried to make it in Russia. They already received investments from oil and gas company. It may seem strange to you, but really oil and gas companies think about go green now because they understand that the trend is against them. So they are developing now a plant in Russia. They made some small series, but now they need to become a big industrial company and develop power plants here. Some even maybe simpler decisions. This one, Mobin, is a part of smart manufacturing, smart control, I would say, over the equipment, because it really works with every equipment you like. It works in oil and gas sector, in energy sector, in grid sector. Choose whatever you want. It's very simple. You have this thing, which includes in itself vibroanalyzer, thermo analyzer, and some other things which measure really all the parameters of the equipment. So you can just take it and go with it to to check the equipment and all the things that you did previously by your hand. So previously you just watched the parameters, put them with your pencil on the sheet, and then at some time later put it in the computer, which is very complicated, and of course errors happen very often. And this decision allows you to avoid all this. So you just automatically receive it in your device, and then it transmits to your computer and to SAP system, whatever you want. So really very smart, very simple decision, not really innovative, but very effective. They have partners already in Russia and abroad. Another simple decision is MetsBit series. They made a strength wire, which is already also increased in capacity. If you understand, capacity is проводимость, то есть более электропроводимый провод. The idea is, again, very simple. They found out how to tighten it more, so the density is increased, and that's why it's more strength and has increased capacity. And they found out that it can be used not only in traditional grids, but, for example, also on the roads. It's a real road in Odensova, where it protects the cars from going to the other side. And it's really simple and effective. Also, they use this product in Russian railways, and also in Ostankino Tower, the wires which hold it are also made by this company. And I want to turn back to renewables. So again, this is, I would say, more technologically complicated decision, but the idea is very simple. There are a lot of areas in the world the winds are small, for example, 5 to 6 meters per second. And the areas near the water where the wind is stronger are already either there are already wind farms, or they are very hard to achieve, so it's very hard to build a wind tower here. So they decided not to concentrate on these areas, and they decided to go to the areas where the wind is smaller. So they built some innovative engine and made a decision which lets you do this. And of course the market is huge because now everybody needs it. So there were some examples of startups in our cluster. Of course, there are a lot more. As I said, more than 350. But I want to show you some example of how it could work in reality. For example, if you come to Skолково one day and you become a participant and you have a project, what next? We have one pilot project with Federal Grid company. It's, if you know, the company which manages all the распределительные сети, если кто-то знает, all the grids of high voltage, 110 kilovolts plus. So really they have more than 1 million kilometers of wires in Russia. Huge amount. So we decided to make some innovative decision for them. We asked, what do you want? And they said, we want to make a monitoring system of our wires. Looks simple, and we found 8 decisions which can be useful for them. Some copters or mobbing, which I already mentioned, or a system of data transmission. So the task is to combine them in some complex decision. Now we are doing it, and I think in August or maybe in September, they will go to the line and just show what they can do. And we will measure the effectiveness of this whole project, and then there will be, the decision will be made. Either they will be financed or they will drop. But idea is simple. We ask the industry of their needs. We try to match their needs with our startups. We try to combine them in some complex decision to answer the problem. And then we go to pilot testing, and after pilot tests, if everything's fine, the company support and everyone's happy. So this was in a nutshell what's going on in our cluster. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me later. Here are my contacts. Thank you.
Thank you very much.